Secret.
So unfortunately, you know, it's true.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's probably, you know, the dark side of
Okay, we have speed.
Okay.
Gotta look at each other.
And this law will probably...
Quiet on the set.
Sorry.
Seconds going to black. Lydia, when the credits go down, you give him a signal to start, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the Josh Volinski Show. And Mrs. Schwartz, I love what you're preparing tonight. I wish I was a guest at your table. Today I have two outstanding tenant advocates here. I have Bill Dorrity and I have Lidya Radin, and they're part of the activism, tenant activism here in the New York metropolitan area in New Jersey. And I would like them to tell us about the new legislation that Brian Stack, State Senator Brian Stack, is proposing in New Jersey for security for buildings with more than 100 tenants. Would you start it?
Yes, I'll start, Josh. Now, the landlord, well, the Grandview landlord...
Well, wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. But we're here because you're going to jump into just 1 second. But before we get lost in the details...
Yeah, absolutely.
New Jersey State Senator Brian Stack has proposed two new bills. And we've discussed one, the right of tenants to try to recover attorney's fees.
Exactly.
But in this show, what we're going to discuss is security guards. Now, State Senator Brian Stack has proposed a law on the state level that would require 24 hours a day, 7 days a week security guards in buildings that are over 100 units. Now, this is important in places like Bill's building. His building has about 300 units, and it's a building that's devoted, specifically designed for elderly, for senior citizens, and for disabled people. Now, the myth that his landlord wants everyone to believe is that rents would rise dramatically with security guards. Now, Bill, is that true or not true?
The real-world experience in Newark has shown that rents do not go up with security guards, and there are several reasons for this. Because buildings become more safe and secure, this means that more tenants want to live here. Any building with a bad reputation of tenants coming and going at all times, not tenants, strangers, and people that don't belong there. Now, we have security cameras, but security cameras don't stop people from coming in and out of the building. A security guard does. Now, one last thing I tried before to get in. This landlord has sold the tenants at the Grandview a bill of goods. And what he's saying is rents go up with security guards, and as we just discussed, rents do not go up with security guards. The real-world experience in Newark has shown this, and that's pretty much for the moment. Go ahead, Liddy. Josh?
Yes. Well, that's been my experience too, which you've been saying. And as a matter of fact, they really don't pay security guards any kind of money.
Absolutely.
Well, but the issue for Bill's building, and Bill's building in Jersey City is called the Grand View.
The Grand View.
And it was specifically designed for low-income senior citizens and disabled people. And they would like to have security guards. Some tenants do. They're afraid to speak out. There was a petition where I think a bunch of tenants signed it, but they signed it unwittingly, and they signed the petition without having the real-world experience. So we went to Newark, New Jersey, and we consulted with tenant advocates who had written the security guard ordinance for the city of New Jersey. And their real-world experience was that rents did not go up with security guards. And they have security guards 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by city ordinance. So when Bill speaks to the Jersey City Council, he says, we could pass a new law on the state level, but we could have a city ordinance in 30 days. To pass this new law will take a year, maybe 2 years. But the city council could pass an ordinance.
In a month.
Right. And what we learned from Bill's case, you won against your landlord.
I did.
About a week ago.
Yes.
Exactly a week ago. And what was released was, as evidence that was provided to us before trial, was videotape. The landlord gave Vince Ansetti, Bill's attorney, videotape. Security guard cameras. And what you see in those videotape, the security guard camera videotapes, is how easy it is to gain access to his building. In fact, not only is it easy to do it by a ruse, but there's one videotape that's very disturbing that we're going to release, where you actually see an unauthorized person, an unwelcome, unauthorized person, force his way into the building, push his way past an elderly and disabled tenants. That's very frightening. And it's a compelling argument for security guards in buildings. So there's no reason not to have security guards, particularly in buildings with senior citizens and disabled people. The rents do not go up with security guards. The buildings become safer. There's less crime.
Yes.
And the dirty little secret that's coming out as we tenant advocates
Listen to this, people.
are attempting to drive change at a grassroots level is that, and I want to apologize.
You say it. You can say it. Go ahead.
Apologize in advance.
What we have in the building, we have actually hookers, and they get good money selling their services to the seniors that live there, so many of them. So these naturally, these seniors would not want their activities monitored on camera, much less having these hookers to sign in at the desk with a security guard present.
So the dirty little secret that's coming out is that there's prostitution and elderly men do, unfortunately, hire prostitutes. And if there was a 24/7 security guard, there would be a record of prostitutes entering and leaving.
Exactly.
So the dirty little secret that it has nothing to do with people's afraid of rents going up.
That's right.
That's not going to happen.
You know what the bottom line really is. An old professor of mine at City College pointed it out. This is not a classless society. So the rich have one standard, and modest people are supposed to have another standard.
That's right.
But all human beings need and require security.
Sure.
And I don't want to see what might happen someday at 34th Street and 7th Avenue when there's a terrorist there. I wonder if the NYPD is just going to open fire and incur thousands of innocent casualties.
Well, before
I just don't want to see that.
Before we get too far afield,
Yes.
We had New Jersey State Senator Brian Stack propose a new law on the state level. So even though the Jersey City Council refuses to act for whatever embickering, fighting, horse trading, whatever reasons they have, there's some disagreement and disharmony there. Senator Brian Stack, with, I believe, New Jersey State Senator Sandra Cunningham, has proposed a new law on the state level that would require security guards 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I have the 24/7 outside security firm. Now, this means the landlord can no longer put the janitor in and say he's a security guard. They got no uniforms, they wear overalls.
Right. So there can't be dirty tricks and, you know, try to circumvent. But as a test, I went to Bill's building.
Listen to this.
It was very easy for me to gain access.
She went to a tenants meeting, actually. And how did you get in?
Well, I was invited to attend a tenants meeting, and all I had to do was knock on the door and tell a tenant, open the door and let me in. There was no, I didn't sign in, I didn't provide ID.
No security guard at the desk?
There was no security guard at the desk. It was very easy for me to gain access, and I think I've gained access to your building at least 8 times.
Numerous times. And, of course, the landlord's video itself shows people just coming in pretty much as Lydia did. Now, this is what we know about, and what we don't know about is this goes on all the time.
So it's important to have security guards in buildings. It actually helps the landlord from the real-world experience of tenants in Newark. Buildings become safer, families want to move in, that you have more stable tenants, more law-abiding tenants. Crime does not happen so easily. So actually, as the building becomes safer and more desirable, you actually have, it's a benefit to the landlord. So landlords don't lose by having security guards.
Yes.
Wait, there's one thing I want to ask. The way the law is written also is that security guards, the expense for security guards are taken as a tax deduction. So the landlords actually will take the expense as a deduction on their taxes. So the intent of the law is also that it shouldn't be an increased expense for the landlord. So there's lots of reasons why to have security guards. The law is written not to put a burden on landlords to have extra expenses by allowing them to take this as a tax deduction. Their buildings become more desirable and safer, and the rents do not go up with 24/7 security guards.
Oh, yes, I had one issue. During my court trial last week, the landlord had a police detective by the name of Tom Jones on the witness stand. Now, Tom Jones said the reason for the landlord having differences with Mr. Dorrity, Bill Dorrity, is because he's advocating for security guards. This is out of the mouth of Tom Jones, the landlord's witness, which is one of the reasons the judge threw the whole business out.
So what you're trying to tell our viewing audience is because you're advocating for security guards and for increased security for tenants, the landlord, and he should be
throwing you out,
is retaliating against you with frivolous evictions. So
and
you
of
have,
course, security guards prevent vandalism.
Thank you.
And they safeguard property.
Thank you.
And what are your feelings about cameras?
Yeah, here is, as the law now stands, you can have security guards or cameras. Brian Stack's new bill says security guards and cameras. It doesn't separate the two. That's major, because it doesn't give the landlord a choice. Here's the law. Security guards and cameras.
And even though the landlord has cameras, as the landlord's own security,
they don't stop people from coming in.
Exactly.
You need a man there, a security guard, woman.
Exactly. And as the landlord's own security videotape shows, there was a unauthorized young man who forced his way into the building. So you can have a camera that records it, but if anything happens, it's too late to say, well, we got videotape.
Too late.
You know, because someone could be injured, someone could be robbed, there could be crime.
As a matter of fact, people were, an elderly woman was robbed some years back and beaten in her own apartment. And this not happened not once, but twice. And this made big news in the Jersey Journal. But I guess the landlord is just waiting for it to happen again because they don't seem concerned.
And I would say also that we checked with police. I did an informal little survey, and the police department supports security guards. They find that if there's security guards in buildings, it helps them because.
Yeah, it helps them because there's no more crying wolf by a tenant. The security guard will determine if there's a legitimate it saves the taxpayer money with unnecessary police response.
Right, so if someone's making like phony phone calls, you know, and you're a tenant, and you're, you know, there's some crank that's, or there really isn't a compelling need to call the police, we should not be wasting the police's time in there. So the
taxpayers' money, people.
So that thank you. So the local police support, not only do they support security guards, but they support tenant advocates. Yeah. They support a vibrant, strong tenants association because this shows them that there are people who are concerned about the building. So the police support tenant advocates. They support organizers. They want people who are concerned about their building.
And a well-trained security guard can be trained in CPR, and watch young children, and keep an eye on elderly tenants.
Well, yes, and in Bill's building is specifically designed only for elderly tenants and disabled people. So I wonder if, you know, if this building is for disabled people, why wouldn't you want a security guard? You know, God forbid someone slips and falls. Well, you'll have a video camera of it, but who's going to, like, you know, call the ambulance, assist that person? Yeah,
and this brings us back to one more issue during the trial. Lisa Carney is a landlord staff employee. Now, what she's
the on-site building manager.
On-site building manager, and she made the statement on the witness stand that Mr. Dorrity says that the landlord has a cop on the payroll. My attorney, Vincent, said, well, isn't that a good thing to have a cop on the payroll? Isn't that what you would want? And certainly, that was a very telling point, which led, one of the points which led the judge to dismiss and throw out the whole eviction.
So Bill, because Bill is working with a lobbyist in the state capitol in Trenton, because he speaks in front of Jersey City Council meetings, because he's trying to organize his building, because he's bringing the facts, he didn't just accept the landlord's
bill of goods.
You know, he went and found real-life tenants who had a city ordinance passed for 24/7 security guards. The rents did not go up. So the landlord started persecuting Bill and retaliating with these frivolous evictions. He won his case a week ago on September 10th, 2012. And one reason the landlord claimed he wanted to evict Bill was he claimed Bill was
advocating for security guards.
Well, he was trying to evict you based on disorderly conduct.
Disorderly conduct, which Detective Tom Jones said there was no disorderly conduct on
the landlord's own witness admitted on the witness stand there was no disorderly conduct. Now, Bill is a 73-year-old man, and to be harassed once, twice, 3 times by your landlord because you want a more secure building is really shameful. So what we're trying to do is educate the tenants that even though they've been told their rents would dramatically increase with 24/7 security guards.
Not true.
That is not the real world experience of people who did it in Newark, who passed a city ordinance. The rents did not go up. The buildings became safer. Ultimately, the landlord benefited as much as the tenants.
Absolutely.
The police supported it. It was good for the community policing.
A win-win situation all around.
For everyone. So when Bill goes to the Jersey City Council and he says, look, we got a state law that's going to be passed.
Signed by the governor.
You know, why wait? We could have a city ordinance.
In a month.
What he finds is resistance. But I would compliment one of the city council members, Viola Richardson.
Viola Richardson. She...
reconsider.
Yes. Well, she stated at a city council meeting that the tenants don't want security guards. The following day, I got an email. I spoke in narrow, Mr. Dorrity. We are negotiating. Evidently, I said, where did she get these stats from, statistics? But certainly, she reconsidered her position, and she's now on board for security guard legislation.
How does the media, your local media,
yes,
deal
thank you very
with
much.
these issues?
There's a news blackout by the Jersey Journal in Jersey City for whatever reason we don't understand. And this television station here has given us great media coverage. Without this television station, this issue would have been buried a long time. Nobody would ever know what's going on. And I must give great credit to Josh Volinski, to the producer, for letting us air this very grievous issue in New Jersey.
Yes, thank you very much. It's the independent media that's helping drive change at the grassroots level. That's why public access is so important, because it is a tool for social justice. I'm being blacklisted. Bill's being retaliated against. The mainstream press will not report this. So without the independent media, without public access, what we're doing is exactly what public access was designed to do, to give a voice from those who would be closed out of big business interests.
For the disenfranchised, and we really are very grateful to public access for this opportunity. Josh Volinski, do you have anything to add?
Well, I think we have to do our job, and we have to try to fight for the advocacy of tenants and all other members in the community. And as you know, there's an awful lot of work that has to be done. Now, does Brian Stack have sufficient allies?
Senator Brian Stack, I'm not clear on that. What's your take, Senator Brian Stack?
Well, you know, we're very pleased with Senator Brian Stack. Even though he's a Democrat, he's independently minded. He has done phenomenal things. Unfortunately, Hudson County has a bad reputation for being...
Sure does.
You know, but Brian Stack will have meetings with his constituents in public libraries. He doesn't set up barriers, so you don't have gatekeepers trying to keep you out. If you make a phone call, it's returned within an hour. I have never seen another elected official set such high standards of excellence for the world to follow. The only other elected official that I've seen so far is Newark City Councilman Darren S. Sharif, who went into landlord-tenant court for hours to protect a tenant and a tenant advocate and a tenant leader to make sure that the judge would not hurt him. And this was the judge in my case, Judge Fast. After Judge Fast hurt me in 2008, we exported him from Jersey City to Newark. So evil Judge Fast is now sitting in cases in Newark, and I was very afraid for one of our tenant advocates. So I made sure I went out to Newark, that my voice was heard, and to his credit, Newark City Council member Darren S. Sharif went into a courtroom and sat there for hours to let the judge know that you would not pick on this tenant leader, this tenant advocate. He won his case, but Newark City Council member Darren S. Sharif he's independent, but he has said on the record that he will use the full power and authority of his office to make sure that tenants are protected, that there's a vibrant and strong tenants association. It's good for landlords, it's good for the community, it's good for tenants. So we have leaders like independently minded New Jersey State Senator Brian Stack, who's doing everything he can on the state level, and then we have Darren S. Sharif at the local level.
What community and religious leaders are supporting you?
Oh, well, we have Pastor Williams, who unfortunately couldn't be here, but he's heard me and Bill speak at Jersey City Council meetings, and he's approached us and said, you know, what can I do to help? So hopefully I'll get some of Pastor Williams' thoughts and comments.
Yeah, if I may. Matt Shapiro is the head of the tenants, the organization, state tenants organization, and he told me personally, he said that Senator Stack has always been pro-tenant, as long as he's known him. This man does not flip-flop. He's a straight arrow. I've seen this man.
And he has a very good relationship, from what I understand, with Governor Christie. So, you know, it's highly likely that Senator Stack's bills will be signed into law. The two bills that we're proposing are tenants' rights to recover attorney's fees and security guards in buildings. And both these new laws are win-win for everybody. So we'd like to thank you, Mr. Volinski.
Thank you, Josh,
for helping us educate.
It's really been a pleasure, and it's very important that you get these expenses, these tenant expenses covered that you incur in court.
The tenant's right to recover attorney's fees and security guards in buildings.
And security guards.
In buildings.
And it would be nice to have it in buildings with fewer than 100 units.
Well, the way the law is written, it's going to be for buildings with 100 units or more.
And they'll have to be outside security, so the landlord can't put his janitor there and say he's a security guard.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what we're asking for is good for landlords. It's good for tenants. It's good for the community.
Win-win.
It's good for the police. There's no downside.
No downside.
There's no increased expense to the landlord, and it should be done. It should be done. So I think we'll get a lot of people to start weighing in as we educate, and it's very important. We're having people weigh in. You know, we didn't have you before, but we have you now. And we have Senator Brian Stack, and we have Matt Shapiro from New Jersey
Tenants, the State Tenants Organization.
New Jersey Tenants Organization, City Councilman Darren S. Sharif. Tenant advocates, even though there are some tenant advocates who fought the good fight and they're taking a little break, but we have tenant advocates. We're building support on a grassroots level to bring positive, progressive change to the state of New Jersey.
No, security is very important. There used to be a term when I was young, vigilantes.
Vigilante.
They came about because of lack of security.
Because the cops weren't doing their job, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you know, we're starting to build support. It's starting to snowball. People are starting to organize and get together.
A groundswell.
Yeah, we're starting to get a groundswell. We got attorneys to support some of our issues. So you know, we're getting large constituency groups, and we really want to thank independently minded State Senator Brian Stack for doing the right thing. And we really want to thank New Jersey, Newark City Council member Darren S. Sharif also for doing the right thing. And you know, they're setting examples of excellence for the world to follow. They're really showing true leadership. And you, of course, are also an example of true leadership, because here you are, you know, still fighting the good fight and giving us the opportunity to educate. Thank you.
Always trying to do the right thing for the people and the community, and support the advocates.
Thank you.
Very, very important.
Thank you, Josh. Right.
And that's what the people's history of the United States was about,
right.
by Howard Zinn, people who were doing those kind of things.
Right.
And working with everybody to get the job done.
Yes.
We're a team effort.